Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to all who are joining us today for this event, the Y20 Indonesia 2022's White Paper launch. My name is Rahayu Saraswati, or Sarah for short, and so excited. I will be taking you through today's event. If you have any inquiries, please feel free to message me in the chat box. And of course, we are gearing up for an amazing year ahead, and we can't wait to welcome you here in Indonesia for what is sure to be an unforgettable experience. Today, we are joined by the G20 Indonesia's co-Sherpas, one from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the other from the Coordinating Ministry for Economic Affairs, and the Y20 Indonesia's co-chairs, Michael and Grace, our research division, including our lead researchers, and of course, our esteemed guests. We truly thank you for your time and your participation in today's event. We especially would like to thank CINT, the Network for Digital Survey-Based Research, for conducting in October and November 2021 a mobile survey of 5,700 young people aged 16 to 30 years old from 19 G20 countries: Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Republic of Korea, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, Turkey, the United Kingdom, and the United States on their concerns regarding their employment prospects. Now, please note that this event will take place for about 1 hour, and if you would be so kind as to fill in the attendance form, which our secretariat team will post in the chat box, we would most appreciate it. Now, let's get this event going, and we are inviting Mr. Hari Prabowo, who is the Director of Development, Economy, and the Environment from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who will be representing our co-Sherpa, His Excellency Dian Trian Syahjani, who is the advisor to the Foreign Minister on Priority Programs from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Hari Prabowo, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and greetings from Indonesia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening and peace be upon us all. First of all, I wish to convey sincere regret from Ambassador Dian Trian Syahjani, Indonesia's co-Sherpa, as an urgent and unavoidable circumstance has prevented him from joining this important event, and he asked me to represent him in his stead. And let me begin by conveying also my sincere congratulations and appreciation to the Y20 Indonesia organizer and Indonesian youth for successfully formulating the Y20 white paper. Now, as we all understand, for Indonesia's presidency, youth is an important element. We value the important role of youth in our quest to recover together and recover stronger, particularly in this time when all stakeholders must work together to achieve full and inclusive recovery. Now, our co-Sherpa has stated countless of time that youth of today will be the future of the world, and therefore their participation should not only be in the role of innocent bystanders. Youth must also take an active role and come up with concrete ideas and proposals to be further implemented for the progress and well-being of the world. In this regard, the Y20 white paper is expected to be the first step forward in addressing the many issues that are prevalent in today's world, as well as the challenges and opportunities of the future. I would also like to highlight that the President of the Republic of Indonesia, President Joko Widodo, has designated three main priority sectors as the main focus of our presidency, namely enhancing global health architecture, digital transformation, as well as energy transitions. On enhancing global health architecture, we want to underline the importance of scaling up our work in the health sector, as we are now still not over from the pandemic. So we still need to work together, to work stronger, to collaborate in addressing the pandemic as well as its impacts on development and the people. And in with this priority sector, Indonesia will also focus on preparing the world for possible future health emergencies. On digital transformation, we believe that the digital sector is a cross-sectoral issue that relates to many aspects of our lives, not only in terms of education and jobs, but also health, agriculture, as well as many sectors of the economy. And I fully appreciate the efforts of Y20 Indonesia to come up with the white paper on digital transformation and the role of youth in this regard. The third priority sector of our presidency is energy transitions, which is important to address issues related to climate change and sustainable development. And I also note that the Y20 has come up with the white paper on sustainable and livable planet, which relates to the quest of making our planet healthy and safe. Now, I shall not go in details to the substance, as I understand you will be discussing this in the course of our presidency, particularly Y20 meetings planned for this year. But simply to say once again, I truly appreciate the efforts of Y20 Indonesia to come up with the white paper, and our sincere hope that the white paper could be an important tool to stimulate discussion and to generate concrete recommendations, concrete actions that can be implemented to ensure that the world can become a better place for all of us, can recover together, recover stronger, and particularly for developing countries to recover. We have stated countless times that we are in this planet together, and this is the time to make sure that we walk the talk. We need to ensure that no one is left behind. To ensure, allow me to highlight the important role of youth throughout our history. The youth has united our nation as a diverse country, rich in lots of cultural heritage. The youth have been in the forefront in many walks of life in Indonesia, and I'm therefore proud to say that the Indonesian Y20 is also taking a lead in this important discourse on the role of the youth in ensuring global collaboration to address global challenges. I wish you all a fruitful discussion. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Over back to you, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hari, for your remarks. Please send Mr. Diantrian Sajani our best regards. Thank you so much for joining us. And now we would like to invite all of you, if possible, to rename yourself, to begin with your organization and then your name, so everyone will know where each of you are coming from. Because everybody's tuning in from all over the world. Here it's in the evening in Indonesia, but it could well be very much in the morning all the way in Argentina or the United States and Mexico and Canada. We would like to now invite our Y20 Indonesia co-chair, Gracia Paramita, who will be introducing us to the Y20 Indonesia presidency. And we're all gearing up to our opening ceremony or kickoff meeting in February later on. We're counting down the days. So Gracia, over to you. The time is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. Mr. Hari Prabowo, Co-Sherpa G20 Indonesia 2022, Dr. Muhammad Hadianto from Coordinating Ministry for Economic Affairs, all chair and co-chairs of engagement groups and working groups of the G20 Indonesia, all Y20 organizers and friends, honorable acknowledged partners, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening from Jakarta, and a very warm welcome to all of you. It is such a delightful moment that today the Y20 Indonesia can conclude and share our masterpiece to the Y20 Summit 2022, which is the Y20 2022 white paper. The journey and process of making this white paper started in February 2021, when the Y20 team was requested to create the Y20 issue notes. With the support of the G20 Sherpa office at the Coordinating Ministry for Economic Affairs and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, along with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, the Y20 Indonesia finally proposed 4 priority areas. First, youth employment. Second, digital transformation. Third, sustainable and livable planet. And fourth, diversity and inclusion. All those four priority areas are cross-cutting issues with other engagement groups and working groups of the G20 Indonesia. The white papers that we have produced consist of interesting facts of the G20 youths and the challenges, opportunities starting from each priority areas with the way forward. Led by Y20 Indonesian alumni, external researchers, along with all staff members, some assistants of other team, these white papers were truly done by a diverse group of Indonesian youths. I would like to start from the first priority area, youth employment. We would like to highlight how the social safety nets generate informal and non-standard forms of employment and youth social entrepreneurships. Speaking of numbers, according to our survey from 5,700 respondents, only 35% of young people have heard about social safety nets. By addressing those two issues, sub-priorities, the social safety nets and the youth social entrepreneurships, we hope that there will be a way forward and concrete steps after the Antalya goals in 2015 and the promotion of the G20 Youth Roadmap by 2025 in the Saudi Presidency 2020. Second, the digital transformation. This topic is strongly aligned with the priority area of the G20 Indonesia, and it's directly relevant to the Digital Economy Working Group under the leadership of the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology. Digital governance, especially the role of youth, as a matter of fact, 61% of young people have issues with internet connectivity, including slow and unstable internet connection and expensive access to the internet. Meanwhile, 12% of youth respondents have used advanced means for digital finance. So the role of youth in digital governance and the digital financial awareness are two sub-priority areas which bridge the finance track and share path track. Third, sustainable and livable planet. We need to protect the natural resources that we have and shift it to economy that eliminates waste and pollution, keeps materials in use for as long as possible, when we are trying to remind ourselves that shifting towards nature positive and circular economy are inevitable. Based on our survey, 45% of the G20 youths think frequently about the condition of our planet. Fourth, diversity and inclusion. This priority area is the new legacy of the Y20 Indonesia that we would like to build. The main principle of inclusiveness strives to engage all sectors, especially the minority groups of the youth. Another interesting finding came from the creative economy section. Over half of young people in the G20 took part in the survey, argued that creative occupations could contribute to more inclusive society, as well as the empowerment of inclusive education. So education and creative economy are the sub-priorities of diversity and inclusion. Finally, it is time to appreciate all hard work that the Y20 research team has done for almost 1 year. And a notable thank to our head of research, Tommy Aditya, all lead researchers, Joanna, Biondi, Hani, Sugit, Disti, along with the teams, Pasha, Desi, Pina, Reika, Noto, Alvin, Maulana, and Nabila. I also would like to thank to Michael Sianipar, the co-chair of the Y20 Indonesia, along with all team members. And of course, thank to SIN, the Mitra Muda UNICEF, all distinguished knowledge partners, working groups, engagement groups of the G20 that have been contributing and sharing their views either through the FGD and also through the feedback of the white paper. We fervently hope that the white paper could be a reference of all G20 stakeholders, guidance for the general public to understand issues, and the legacy that sharpens the substances of the youth. By working together, we're getting stronger. Please enjoy reading the white paper. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grace, for those words. Can't wait for us to see what's in store. And now, for everyone's information, we will also be posting this recorded session on our website, y20-indonesia.org, and our YouTube channel for everyone to tune into. So please, later you are free to pass the information forward. And the white paper document will also be accessible and downloadable via our website. Now, I would like to invite the head of our research division along with his team, Tommy Aditya. The time is yours.
Thank you, Masara. Hello, everyone, and it is our honor to host the Y20 Summit 2022. Knowing how crucial it is for youth to be part of today's global citizenship, we hope that the Y20 can create global youth collaboration to push forward the policymakers the agendas that are important for youths. The G20 Indonesian Presidency, next slide, please. Choose the theme of Recover Together, Recover Stronger to address the lingering impact of the COVID-19. The G20 Indonesia Presidency focuses on three things, as what have been mentioned by the Minister of Foreign Affairs: the global health architecture, digital transformation, and sustainable energy transition. The Y20 Indonesia aligns our discussion with the focus areas of the G20 Indonesia Presidency on the topics where youths could have transformational impacts and have the greatest opportunity to turn policy wordings into concrete actions. On the global health architecture, although it is not a standalone track in the Y20, it will be addressed as a cross-cutting issue across the priority areas, acknowledging the importance of global recovery affecting youths in many aspects. On digital transformation, we have seen how COVID-19 accelerates the digital transformation for private and public sectors. We put forward Y20 priority area on digital transformation because we feel strongly that digital policies need to be designed together with the digital natives, the youths, so more opportunities can be explored to leapfrog the post-pandemic recovery opportunities. On sustainable energy transition, we have also noticed how human activities cause harm to the planet that we're living in through waste, consumptive lifestyles, and others. We put forward a specific agenda within the Y20, the sustainable and livable planet, because youths are the future of the planet and the youth should have an equal stake in shaping the future of the planet in the policy discussion. We also would like to take into consideration the Y20 communiques that have been deliberated carefully by all the Y20 presidencies over the past decade. One of the most recurring topics within the communique is in the domain of youth employment. Youth diplomacy over years has resulted in G20 leaders' commitment to achieving Antalya Goal in 2015 and the G20 Youth Roadmap in 2020 as a means to reduce youth employment by 15% in 2025. We seek to continue the efforts that have been made by the previous Y20 delegates to ensure that youths are protected amidst the labor market uncertainty caused by the global pandemic. And the G20 itself, we all know that it's a multilateral platform bringing together like 19 of the world's major economies and the EU. Its members account for more than 60% of the world population with diverse perspectives and cultural backgrounds. And it's similar to Indonesia. We have more than 17,000 islands, 300 ethnicities, 700 languages, and has also embraced the value of diversity since our inception. Our last priority area, diversity and inclusion, not only aims to embody the spirit of inclusivity, but also to raise the importance of cultural and equity discussion that we have seen arising in the past 2 years. So, these four priority areas, youth employment, digital transformation, sustainable and livable planet, and diversity and inclusion, will be at the heart of the Y20 Indonesia discussion. Each of these priority areas will have two sub-priorities that will be further discussed by the lead researchers in the following presentation, and of course, throughout the G20 Indonesian presidency. We look forward to working with Y20 delegation to carry on the discussion with respective working groups, be it in the Indonesian presidency and each of the respective countries, and to give a substantive contribution from the youth's perspectives. And of course, the Y20 Indonesia, we have worked together over the course of the year to publish the Y20 white paper. With the help of sim.com, a digital online platform, we have conducted a surveys to 5,700 youths aged 16 to 30 years old from 19 G20 countries. And the survey respondents were evenly split. We have equal representation between males and females, between urban, Tier 1 and Tier 2 cities, and rural areas or Tier 3 cities and beyond. And in all, the survey has gathered about 300 respondents per G20 country. We are pleased to share the survey findings in our white paper, and we will work with the Y20 delegates to share the country-specific data of our finding. And lastly, we would also like to thank all the experts for bringing their expertise and experiences to enrich the discussions of our white papers. From the month of June to December 2021, we have interviewed 41 experts from government agencies, international organizations, academic institutions, NGOs, private sectors, and many others. We have conducted 14 focus group discussions with youth and government representatives, including with Mitra Muda UNICEF, G20 engagement groups and working groups, and many others. Your infallible insights have formed the foundation of these white papers, and we invite you all to read and produce these white papers in the G20 policy formulation. And next, I would like to invite Joanna Octavia. Joanna is the lead researcher of youth employment, and she was also the Indonesian delegate to the 2018 Y20 Summit Argentina. Joanna, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Tommy, and hello, everyone. Hi, my name is Joanna Octavia. As mentioned by Tommy, I'm the lead researcher for the Youth Employment Priority Area. Youth employment is a legacy issue of the Y20 Summit. It's a topic that has become increasingly important after seeing how the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic has devastated young workers across the G20. With this backdrop, our recent survey that we disseminated through Sint.com found that job insecurity is the top cause of employment concern for young people in G20 countries, with 47% of them worried about working in an unstable job. In our survey, we also found that 73%, the majority of young people, think that governments should provide them with a social safety net to help them with this instability. Aspiring youth social entrepreneurs also said that regulatory support, education and training, as well as financial help are their top three desired types of assistance. Unfortunately, at this moment, not all of these are currently available or accessible to all young people in G20 countries. Next slide, please. The first subtopic of youth employment criteria, the social safety nets for informal and non-standard forms of employment, looks at young workers working in lower quality jobs in the informal economy, as well as in arrangements outside of the traditional employment relationship. This includes jobs such as part-time work, temporary work, or 0 hours contracts. Our research shows that they face three main challenges. The first is their lack of access to public social protection programs. This is due mainly to the regulatory framework of their countries, as well as issues surrounding the availability of programs such as unemployment benefits for young workers with no employment history, and the practical barriers to registering, contributing, and claiming benefits. The second problem that they face is financing. Unlike full-time workers whose employers typically contribute to their employment benefits, workers in this segment often have to register and pay for their own insurance. For young workers with unstable income, it is challenging for them to make regular contributions. It also raises the questions as to who else is actually responsible for contributing to their social protection. Third, young workers have limited awareness of existing social safety net programs and initiatives because they are relatively healthy, without dependence, and view informal non-standard work as temporary while they're looking for a job. This lack of knowledge often excludes them from the programs that are already available. Our research suggests that certain conditions and existing practices can help young people to address these challenges. The first is by recognizing the involvement of stakeholders, such as civil society and workers' organizations or unions, in providing social safety nets can help young workers to design their own solutions until there is a more permanent mechanism in place. The second is the application of digital technologies such as mobile apps or mobile money, which can help young workers, many of whom are digital savvy, to bypass traditional registration and delivery challenges. The third is tailored income support for youth, in the form of cash, can respond to youth's unique life situations, alleviate the stress that they face, and help them to invest in their future. Lastly, we also need strong government leadership to facilitate the design and implementation of an inclusive social protection system for young workers, as well as the involvement of stakeholders to assist with registration and raising awareness. Our second subtopic looks to explore alternative employment for young people and therefore focuses on youth social entrepreneurship as a viable pathway to employment for young people, while also enabling them to address pressing community needs and making an impact in their society. However, young people seeking to become social entrepreneurs typically face five main challenges. First is the lack of regulatory support in their country by their governments, which constrains the application of policy tools that can help with the growth and survival of their social enterprises. Second is that they are operating in an extremely competitive funding environment. Investors investing in social investments tend to prefer to invest in established social enterprises to lower their risk and increase return, and they also prioritize businesses that are driven by technology. Lack of credit histories and collateral because they are young also makes it difficult for young people to access conventional loans. Third, young people tend to face challenges in hiring and retaining talent due to the non-competitive salaries and working conditions of social enterprises. Focusing on employment creation also means that they often work with groups of people or beneficiaries that lack skills and professional experience. The entrepreneurs themselves may also lack technical skills, for example, in impact measurement. Fourth, the social context and cultures where social entrepreneurs operate matter greatly to the growth or stagnancy of the business. Lastly, there are uneven development and opportunity gaps for young people living outside of the major cities to access information and resources, especially in developing countries. Our research suggests that there are best practices that can help to address these challenges. The first is that internet-based financing alternatives can offer young people an easier way to secure financing. iCycle, which is one of the social enterprises involved in this study, was successful at raising £15,000 through a crowdfunding campaign on Kickstarter. Second, embedding social entrepreneurship in educational support programs such as in university, high school, or youth organizations can give young people the organizational support they need to experiment with social ideas. Third, government support and recognition can lead to the creation of regulation and policy instruments that support the growth of social enterprises, as well as raising awareness for the products and services that youth social entrepreneurs produce. For example, Kulaku, another youth social enterprise that we engaged in the study, was invited by the Ministry for Cooperatives and MSMEs to promote Indonesia's coconut products at the Dubai Expo in 2020. Lastly, proactive government leadership in interlinking the key players in the youth social entrepreneurship ecosystem will also ensure that young people are supported as they transition from education to the working world at all stages of their business. Thank you, and I hope you will enjoy reading the white paper with the full details. For the next, we will move on to digital transformation. And yeah, the floor is back to you, Tom.
Thank you so much, Joanna. I'll take it over from here. Esteemed guest, whilst the pandemic has shrunk mobility and incapacitated our health and economy, the opposite is true for digital transformation. The COVID-19 has served as a major boost to transform business as usual and shift many brick and mortar industries into digital platforms. This digital transformation white paper explores a wide spectrum of issues pertaining youth roles in digital governance and digital financial awareness. Both are strongly aligned with one of the key pillars of Indonesia's G20 presidency. Some of our interesting findings from our survey with SIND, as you can observe on your screen here, are that firstly, connectivity remains a major constraint from realizing equitable growth in digital economy. A remarkable 61% of young people across G20 countries have issues with internet connectivity, including slow, unstable, and expensive access to the internet. Nonetheless, digital economy endows a huge potential to attain sustainable development. Between 2011 to 2014, for example, digital payment unlocked access to over 700 million people, help paving the pathway out of extreme poverty. We also noticed there is a persistent talent gap between supply and demand. Taking a closer look at which talents do G20 youths refer to exactly, when talking about the skills deficit, the G20 youth feels that software development, security, and data are the top 3 required digital skills for future readiness. Next slide, please. The relationship between the youth and the digital industry portray 2 sides of a coin. On the head, digital innovation is mostly led by youth as the digital native, but on the tail, youth remains disproportionately affected by the speed of changes that are often catered by still nascent and ambiguous policy framework. To enable sustainable recovery, digital dividends have to be enjoyed by all. the policy and standards governing digital transformation need to empower youth and narrow this gaping inequality, including by scrutinizing, number one, the widening digital divide and the absence of infrastructure, not only in 3G, 4G, 5G coverage, but also in competitive price setting, speed and stability, service reliability, and ensuring the presence of enabling infrastructures in logistics, warehousing, electricity, postal services, etc., that can render digital economy accessible by all. Secondly, connectivity without the capacity to harness this facility will do little to no change. We need to address the lack of digital literacy and skills deficits in short and long-term time frame. And thirdly, with more uptake, meaning there will be more data, including personally identifiable information data, will become available. Consequently, investment in ex ante and ex post policy and technical designs to safeguard privacy and security risk need to be intensified. But on the other side, it is not all doom and gloom. The ICT sector opened job opportunities to an estimated 55.3 million people worldwide in 2020 alone. And again, policy designs are critical to capture much of these benefits and ensure the youth could manifest their potential in the following three. Number one, youth engagement on digital activism. Secondly, inclusive decision-making by advancing data-driven and human-centered policy interventions. And thirdly, by enabling youth participation to solve problems towards collective recovery. Next slide, please. Now, when we talked about digital technology and connectivity, oftentimes access is not necessarily always translated into meaningful growth and gains. In fact, according to a recent World Bank report, Beyond Unicorns, only 3% of online activities in Indonesia have commercial values. Digital payment will be the next frontier, enabling people to optimize the value creation from their online activities. However, another catch, also taking from the Indonesian example, over half of the financially excluded population are not aware of the presence, usage, and benefits of digital financial services, or DFS. This is why promoting awareness overall is given the center stage by the Y20 Indonesian presidency. The issues here are also quite broad, covering in challenges side, number one, supply and demand risk factors by identifying barriers to youth uptake from supply and demand dimensions. Secondly, lack of financial literacy by addressing the fundamental in financial literacy for youths to buffer shocks during unfortunate times. And thirdly, the rise of digital currency and cryptocurrency, including CBDCs, by anticipating risk from spurring blockchain-enabled currencies. From the opportunity side, delegates are expected to think through, number one, how to expand DFS beyond just the convenience of doing transactions from home or from your dining tables, but how to unleash the potential of DFS in relations to poverty eradication and SDGs attainment, for example, through lessening barriers to remittance transfers or providing healthy cash flows through microloans to small youth enterprises. Secondly, improving financial inclusion and women empowerment by democratizing access and promoting women inclusion in mainstream economy. Lastly, deepening use cases for more advanced DFS uptakes, exploring use cases for government and private sectors to harness emerging technologies, for example, for a more well-targeted cash transfer to poor households or a more efficient tax collection. There are indeed a lot of uncertainties and dynamics when we look at the issues of the digital world. A lot has been said on these issues, yet the remaining elephant in the room is often the question, how? We will work with the Y20 delegates to formulate recommendations that are politically feasible and also practically executable to enable greater policy adoption. That is all from the DT track. Next, I would like to hand it over to Hani Chrysolite, our lead researcher for Sustainable and Livable Planet. Hani was also an Indonesian delegate to the 2019 Y20 Summit Japan. Over to you, Hani.
Thank you, Biondi. Hi, everybody. My name is Hani. I am the lead researcher for the Sustainable and Livable Planet, one of the priority areas that we are putting forward for the Y20 2022 this year. First of all, why the topic of Sustainable and Livable Planet? A sustainable and livable planet is an existential issue to all of us, but especially to youths, because youths are the inhabitants of this planet and will continue to inhabit it even when the older generation has passed away. Our white paper found that over 45% of the G20 youths think very often about the planetary crisis, and among which are concerned about how environmental issues will affect or are affecting them personally. Another key finding from our paper is that youths are especially vulnerable to the planetary crisis because youths often have to rely on adults making decisions on their behalf, and unfortunately, 64% felt that they're not being listened enough when they talk about the planet. Sustainability is an issue that has been discussed over and over again at the Y20 Summit as well as other youth summits. Youths have demanded a radical transformation to our current economy and embrace nature and circular economy, and to do it in an equal way to make our planet more livable for the present and future generations. I will talk more about it in the next slide. Our white paper conveys that the challenge in our current economy is that it is linear. We take products from nature, we process them, and waste them almost immediately after they are used, which created resource overuse problems and excessive waste generation that the planet can no longer hold. The system created extreme forms of inequality with impacts felt disproportionately by indigenous and local communities whose livelihood is intimately linked to their habitations. The good news is, since we created this issue, we can also be the solution. In order to address our resource overuse and excessive waste generation, we need to, number one, protect the resource we have left through creating a nature-positive future, and two, we need to stop excessive waste generation or pollution through implementing a circular economy, an economy that eliminates waste and pollution, keeps materials in use for as long as possible, and regenerates natural system. Next slide. To enable this economic transformation, we need combination of factors and roles from various stakeholders, which is outlined in the chart on the left here. Youths should also be involved in enabling this transformation and can partner with the G20 countries to create this transformation to a nature positive and a circular economy. Youths have the assets to enable this transformation. Youths have been using their voices. They advocate ambitions, raise awareness of this issue, and youth also take actions. Youths have involved in various programs to protect and safeguard the environment, act as conscious consumers, and also innovative producers. In our white paper, we display various case studies to show how youths play an important role in enabling change, as shown in the case of Malawi Youth Restoration Program, in Reservoir Youth Land Trust, and other various circular economy ventures that are enabled by youths. Lastly, over 88% of youth surveyed indicated that they could encourage others to take action. And we have seen it in our own eyes, how even in the pandemic era, youths have become more productive, calling out on changes they'd like to see in the world. And this is the time for youths to start demanding the future that they want, the transformation that the planet needs, and with support of the leaders. Youths are a powerful generation that can invite world leaders, decision makers, and the whole society to work together to achieve a safe, inclusive, sustainable, and livable planet for all. I would like to invite you all to read our findings in the white paper and help youths realize this vision to create a planet, a better home for all of us. That is all from the Sustainable and Livable Planet. I would like to hand it over to Disti Winata, our lead researcher for diversity and inclusion. Disti was also an Indonesian delegate to the 2011 G20 Youth Summit in France. Over to you, Disti.
Thank you, Hani. And hello, everyone. My name is Disti, and I'm the lead researcher for diversity and inclusion track for this year's Y20 Summit. So why diversity and inclusion, as you may ask? So as the pandemic has highlighted the systemic inequalities in the world today, the diversity and inclusion track will focus on improving human capital for young people through inclusive education and creative economy, Both of these sectors can enhance the well-being of our society, achieve social development, enable people to realize their full potential, and also exercise their rights. Our survey reveals that 3 major causes of inequalities that affect young people are uneven access to education, limited opportunities to work, and growing discrimination. 1 in 3 people actually said that the G20 should address universal access to quality education. On the other hand, over than half of G20 youth said creative occupations can have an impact to build an inclusive society. So let's take a look at inclusive education. On the next slide, please. Our research indicated that part of realizing inclusive education really comes down to transforming the way we teach and learn. This refers to the importance of transferable, or as other people know, becoming 21st century skills, which means young people taking charge of their mental health, having a sense of empathy, and also respect for different cultures, and the need to develop available educational resources for personalized learning, and also really empower those who are at risk and vulnerable to remain at school. These opportunities have become what we can address to address the challenges. So these opportunities, first and foremost, is to facilitate young people to get access to education through inclusive teaching, financial support, and flexible legislation. Secondly, the pandemic also reminds us that each learner is unique, no matter their abilities, where they live, and also their status. As such, it has highlighted the need to develop learning materials and other resources that really can help all learners thrive in their learning journey. Last but not least, we need to mainstream decision-making opportunities for young people so that they have the necessary tools, and it is critical for them to express their concerns and opinions. In fact, our research actually shows that young people are more likely to become a leader if they know another leader in their network. Now, onto youth in creative economy. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, the creative economy was very much a promising sector with a contribution up to 10% of the world's GDP by 2030. In addition, the creative economy also fosters inclusive values by introducing local culture, employing young people, and also adopting innovative ways of working. However, there are challenges that persist, especially young people entering the creative economy. First, the pandemic resulted in demand shocks across creative and cultural experiences, goods, and services, which threatens businesses whose products are not accessible digitally. Second, as one of the largest sectors employing women, minority groups, and also informal youth workers, their world of work becomes increasingly precarious in the times of today. Last but not least, there is a low awareness for young people to pursue creative occupations at school and also in their community, which can potentially hamper their freedom of self-expression. In response, strengthening community and creating an ecosystem for collaboration and innovation are key for young people to thrive in the creative economy. Firstly, we found that profit is not always the biggest driver for them as creative workers. In fact, they actually need a safe space to collaborate that can help them continue their work, and whether it's to preserve a cultural heritage or to simply express their creativity. Second, the ability to qualify for certification and gain meaningful skills outside formal institutions can really catalyze young people to pursue creative occupations. Third, as a generator of innovation, the creative economy has a high tendency to experiment with new ways of working, and they rely heavily on intangible assets. As such, a framework that helps young people to keep innovating and experimenting can really make our cultural diversity and creative economy flourish. Diversity and inclusion really benefit everyone. In view of the theme of Indonesia's G20's presidency, Recover Together, Recover Stronger, young people's contributions to supporting an inclusive recovery and embracing diversity in our society has never been more urgent and important. Although the pandemic has revealed the flaws of existing systems and also widened the risk of divisions, it has presented the G20 community an opportunity and also an urgent call for concrete actions, coordinated solutions, and clear frameworks to tackle inequalities, empower those who are left behind, and also enable sustainable growth. Thank you very much, and over to Mbak Sarah.
Thank you so much, the research division. Thank you to Tommy, Joanna, Biondi, Hani, and Disti, and of course, the whole team for your presentation and hard work for this white paper. And again, of course, we thank Sint for the help in carrying out the survey for it. We invite any of you with questions to write your questions in the chat box, starting with who your question is meant for. We have Tommy as the head of the research division, Joanna, who presented on youth employment, Biondi on digital transformation, Hani on sustainable and livable planet, and lastly, Disti on diversity and inclusion. For all Y20 organizers, we encourage you to use this white paper as a document to prepare your delegates for the communique and annex discussions later. And of course, before we go into the Q&A session, we would like to invite all of you to please once again fill in the attendance form. And we would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Hadianto, the Deputy Director or Lead Coordinator for Multilateral Cooperation on Economy, Finance, and International Financial Institution for the Coordinating Ministry for Economic Affairs, who will be speaking on behalf of Mr. Edi Priyo Pambudi, the co-Sherpa of the G20 Indonesia from the Coordinating Ministry for Economic Affairs, to give his remarks. Mr. Ian, you have about 3 to 4 minutes, sir, before we go into the question and answer session. The time is yours.
Thank you very much, Sarah, and a very good evening and good morning to colleagues joining from across the globe. Since I've only got 3-4 minutes, I think I'm just gonna go into the half of my prepared remarks. Well, I think the white paper truly reflects the opinion of the global youth and important stakeholders. This will be a very significant baseline for the upcoming Y20 that will be conducted in the coming months. The white paper encapsulates Indonesia's main theme, recover together, recover stronger, by highlighting 4 main areas of discussion. Youth employment, I think this is a very, very important topic for the G20, and digital transformations. I think one key to highlight here is that innovations needed to empower youth in setting up the standards to promote a qualified growth that is impactful to the everyday life of the people. In the future, as my president has underlined, and I quote, it is not the developed countries overcome the developing ones, nor the big over the small ones, but it is the fastest countries that will defeat the slow ones. Therefore, I think the key here is innovation. I understand that being innovative can sometimes mean going against all odds, but where's the fun in being traditional when you can be crazy and out of the box and can be productive as well? And sustainable and livable planet, I think colleagues have highlighted quite elaboratively the points. And the last thing that I would like to emphasize is on the fourth one, the diversity and inclusion. I truly appreciate the initiative to bring these issues into the table. We've seen events across the globe where attempts to undermine the power of intercultural and interreligious diversity are far greater than efforts to promote an inclusive development of the society. This cannot, and I repeat, this cannot and must not continue. Reflecting from our history of nation, Indonesia is strong because of diversity. Indonesia is solid because we protect each other. We respect each other in tolerance. Indonesia is still standing today through multiple crises because we value the notion of Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, or united in diversity. So I strongly encourage you guys to find practical ways that can help strengthen the culture of diversity and inclusion in the society. And finally, I wish you all a great and in the Y20 under the chairmanship of Indonesia's youth diplomacy and the marvelous team working behind them. You are all in good hands. Thank you very much, and back to you, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ian, for your remarks. I would like to invite everyone once again, if you have any questions that you would like to ask, you can always write them down in the chat box. And now I would like to perhaps start off with a question to Tommy. Tommy, while we're waiting for any questions they might have, just in case things are not clear enough, what was probably the most surprising aspect that your team found through the survey or the findings?
Sure. Thank you so much for the question, Basara. So when we are actually being asked to find like issues that are more relevant to youths, and I think we were very trying to play a balance. We are trying to find a balance, like what are the issues that are relevant for all the G20 countries, because there are like those that coming from developed countries, those are from developing countries, and we coming with a hypothesis that we all will have our own issues that we want to talk about. But then I think what we found surprising is that through our survey, we actually find that the youths actually like becoming more globalized, and like we're increasingly becoming more connected with the digitalization is happening. So for example, over 62% of the survey that we gathered, they say that they feel anxious about their data security on digital platforms. And this is like a problem that is very relevant not only from youths in the United States, but youths in Indonesia as well, or like youths in other developing countries as well. And perhaps like when they're being asked about social safety nets, and when we thought that social safety nets is only an issue for countries that maybe are not like have like a less rigorous mechanism, but it's actually not the case. Like 73% feel that the governments actually should provide the social safety nets as well for the youths. So those are some issues that we think that interesting, that youths, no matter where they are, we are becoming more increasingly connected. And right now the issues is that we need to come together and discuss like which one is the most important issues that we need to voice over to the G20 Sherpa under this G20 platform.
Thanks so much, Tommy. I would like to invite Disti, actually, considering this is a new legacy issue, a priority area that we really would like to highlight. And even Mr. Ian earlier mentioned how this should be the highlight for the Indonesian Y20 presidency. Disti, perhaps you can relay to us, your hopes as lead researcher and the chair for the diversity and inclusion track coming up. What kind of discussion you're hoping to see from the delegates?
Yes, as mentioned, the diversity and inclusion, I would like to have all delegates to speak up their minds, to really bring the situations in their home countries and bringing to the G20 platform. Because even though I attended G20 summit, G20 Youth Summit back in 2011, I feel like the former delegates could share us very similar experience, is that no matter how unique our situations are back home, but when we bring out this into the discussions, a lot of similarities will be discovered. So I think it will be a very much lively and interesting dialogue when it comes to education and creative economy, knowing that I think over in the past few years, we see that the communiques have mostly touch upon the issues of multiculturalism and globalization, knowing how increasingly influential they are to today's youth. And I think creative economy will add a very nice flavor into this topic. And yeah, I'm very excited knowing that also Indonesian presidency is also very concerned about this. And I think it holds a lot of potential, especially in the times of pandemic recovery.
Thanks so much, Disti. For sure, I remember being a Y20 delegate and having to put together a document that represents all G20 countries. It can be quite difficult when you have such a limited amount of space. Now, on that note, I remember from my experience in Y20 2020 Saudi Arabia, I would like to invite Hani specifically on the sustainable and livable planet priority area. This is something that for years has been a legacy issue for Y20. Honey, I think year in, year out, all the youths keep on asking, what's new, right? Because I think that, again, it is a legacy issue that's been going on for years. So what do you hope would be something that's new that the youth will be bringing this year?
Thank you, Mbak Zara. That is a really excellent question. And one thing that I'm hoping to see this year is just youths really convey the urgency, right? I think sustainability is an issue that has been talked every single year, but we need to still communicate the urgency that needs to take place, right? The urgency to transform into a better economic system for our planet. And I think this is a timely issue as well, because seeing what COVID-19 shows, right? It is also showing how like the health of our planet is really closely connected to the health of our bodies as humans who live on the planet. So what COVID-19 also taught us is the urgency of actions, like how it matters, right? When we do preventive measures, like when countries enact lockdown measures, and when we do behavioral change, such as wearing masks and washing our hands, those combinations of measures really really play a huge role, right, in stopping the virus. So in the same sense, I'm hoping to see that in environmental issues as well, when we are able to enact urgent policies and combinations of policies and also behavior change, right? So I think what the leaders can do and what youths can do in like promoting measures such as the ones that we've done for COVID-19, I'm hoping to see that also in the sustainability issue this year.
Thank you so much, Honey. Great points. And I think all the youths and potential delegates, because still in the selection process, I think across the G20 countries, all the best to all of you later on if you're tuning in. Please do use, I would like to remind everyone, please do use the white paper as your framework, as a document that you can use to expand on. And again, thank you so much for everyone attending. We just would like to invite all of you again to please fill in the attendance form if you have not done so. It will help us to ensure we keep our communication lines open to you and that you are kept well informed of any upcoming meetings. For example, we'll have our opening ceremony or kickoff meeting on the 19th of February. And every month after that, each month we'll have a pre-summit on the third week of that month. We'll have the first one, of course, on youth employment. We'll be going to one area of Indonesia. Each pre-summit, we'll be showing you different areas with all the richness of Indonesia. So we are thrilled and excited to welcome you here. Second pre-summit will happen in April. Third one will happen in May. And the last pre-summit will happen in June before we head off to the Y20 summit in July. All right, so now to close things off, we would like to invite our second co-chair, Mr. Michael Sianipar, to give his closing remarks. Mike, the time is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. Selamat malam, good evening from Indonesia. We have just concluded the presentation from the Research Division of Y20 Indonesia Organizing Committee. We thank Mr. Muhammad Hadianto and Mr. Hari Prabo again for the remarks earlier. We thank all the researchers for the hard work and the succinct and resourceful explanation of all the priority areas for this year's Y20 Summit. And especially thanks to all the guests and participants in tonight's white paper launch event, the working groups, engagement groups, and all Y20 organizers from G20 countries. Our hope from the organizing committee is that the wealth of information and analysis can be utilized as a starting point for all discussions on the substance of our summit. The survey conducted by SINT, our partner, also supported by our knowledge partners, is our attempt to include public opinion, youth opinion in particular, and insight from the experts in respective fields. The analysis contained in our documents will hopefully be translated into initiatives and policy recommendations throughout the deliberations in all our 4 pre-summit and eventually summit events. Certainly, all analysis must also be aligned with each country's context and priority. We also hope this practice of research-based and data-driven summits will be customary for future Y20 summits. The findings highlight key points that represent youth concerns, worries, and hopes. Our summit must address their aspiration and really become the forum that represents youth voices. Y20 communique must be relevant and relatable to them. Y20 Indonesia will be an event not just for us, but an event for youth all over the world also. We encourage you to explore the data, survey, and research, and to together seek more as we progress based on the white paper that can be used as our common starting point. I'm sure that there's a lot of information to process just listening to the presentation earlier. Worry not, following this launching, the white paper will be readily available for all. It is only roughly 25 pages each. So that stands for priority areas. In total, there are roughly 100 pages. As the Y20 organizers from all G20 countries are finalizing their delegates, we hope the content of the white paper will give an idea for prospective delegates about what the discussion will probably be like. The challenge for Y20 Summit is to make the discussion and the final result of the communique relevant and executable. This has also been the message that the President has briefed Y20 Indonesia Organizing Committee. That is, to ensure that the result of Indonesia's G20 presidency will produce real and palpable impact. The ensuing deliberation must be thorough and representative of the youth interests and each country's interests. This will help us guarantee that there will be follow-up to our final communique to be adopted and implemented, which is a far harder task than formulating a white paper and the communique itself. We need actionable items. We need to act. All in all, we, the organizing committee, is very excited. We look forward to work together with all of you, and we ask for your kind assistance and cooperation to bring about a successful, meaningful, and impactful Y20 Summit in Jakarta and Bandung later this July. We look forward to see you. Thank you for attending, and good evening.
Thank you so much, Michael, for your closing remarks. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of this white paper launch. We would like to thank Mr. Hari Prabowo, Dr. Ian, for your time, and our co-chairs, Mike and Grace, and all of you attending here today in this white paper launch. And of course, last but not least, the amazing research division of the Y20 Organizing Committee. And that's it from me, Rahayu Saraswati, co-head of the Program Logistics and Delegate Relations Division of the Y20 Organizing Committee. On behalf of the Y20 Indonesia 2022 team, we thank you for your attendance and participation. We look forward to welcoming you here for the Y20 Indonesia 2022. And again, quick reminder, this recorded event will be available through our website and YouTube channel, and the white paper itself is also available for download through our website, the Y20, or it's actually on the chat box right there. It says on y20-indonesia.org. Feel free to also follow us on any of our social media platforms, including Instagram and Facebook. And thank you so much once again for all of you for tuning in. See you soon. See you in Indonesia. Selamat malam.